Money was lost, the business venture fell through, and now it's time to come clean with that. On today's Oblyron Divination. Greetings, Soul Family. I am Oblyron, the Lord of Love and the Magister of the Cube. Thank you for joining me on today's Elemental Synastry reading. It's a divination technique I devised which combines the tarot, astrology, and the 5 elements. This reading transcends space and time, so if you resonate with this reading, then it is for you. And if you do resonate with this reading, then be sure to leave a comment and let us know how you resonate with it. I would love to hear from you. So I draw a tarot card to see what is influencing the elements, and then I roll the astrology die to see what the outcome or the likely advice is. And let's see, what is influencing the element of spirit? Okay, so we have the inverted high priestess. Now, it means that in the spirit, we are encountering something which we are not listening to our inner voice. We are not listening to our intuition. There is sort of a disconnect happening right there. And what we're going to find is with the rest of the elements, everything's going to eventually lead back to the element of spirit, which again is represented by the bell. So in the spirit, we are, again, like I said, having something which is a bit of a disconnect. We're not listening to that inner voice. And since it's in the spirit, it hasn't quite manifested, but it is still there. It is sort of the overriding factor. Okay, so let's see what seems to be the reason or perhaps the outcome of us not listening to the spirit. All right, we have the moon in Sagittarius in the 8th house. All right, so let me line this up real quick. Okay, the moon in Sagittarius in the 8th house. And I roll first for the house and a second time for the decan. All right, the first decan. Interesting. Okay, so something is happening that we need to act with great swiftness. The first decan of Sagittarius is called the Lord of Quickness, and it means that something needs to happen with haste, either a quick change or perhaps a quick decision, something which involves something that has to be decided with an urgent manner. And with it being the moon, okay, yeah, it's interesting that it's a moon because it's also very much tied in with the inverted high priestess. So something is really trying to get our attention. Something is really, really trying to say, hey, there's that little voice in the back of our heads that's saying, hey, I've been trying to tell you for a while. I've been trying to say this. You're not listening. And now it's getting to the point to where some type of action or some type of decision needs to be made. With it being in the 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, it also has to deal either with, let's say, death or other people's money. So there really is some sort of impending, I wouldn't say quite doom, but there is something impending which really needs to be addressed, and it really needs to be addressed with haste. So yeah, that's manifesting in the spirit. Okay, let's see what the other elements have to say about that. So we now move on to the element of fire, which is represented by the wands. And our fire generally represents our drives and ambitions. And also, let's say, the human spirit as well. So what is influencing the element of fire? This is going to be an interesting read. All right. Okay. All right, an inverted Six of Pentacles. Wow. Ah, I hope this isn't like last week's reading, man. Last week's reading was all kinds of trauma and goodies happening. I guess there's a lot of stuff happening in the ether right now. Okay, so we have the inverted Six of Pentacles. Now, normally it means, or I should say in the upright position, it normally means some type of generosity, some type of, benevolence. But when it's inverted, it usually means that, let's say, we may owe people money, or let's say a loan becomes due, or let's say, we could even be in a position where we're about to lose a lot of money too. So it's really interesting how it's tied in also with the Spirit, which is saying that, a decision needs to be made. So something is happening where there's a lot at stake. I think with the Spirit being in the house of Scorpio, it probably has less to do with death and more with other people's money, especially with this Six of Pentacles action happening, this inverted Six of Pentacles. And it could be that, let's see, with it having to deal with fire and our drives and ambitions, it could also be that perhaps maybe we borrowed money, or perhaps we, perhaps asked for money from family and we're not in a position to pay it back. We're not in a position to be able to create opportunity with that money. And now it's kind of getting to the point to where it's like, all right, that payback is due, but we're not in a position. And a decision has to be made about that. Yeah, coming up really quick, it seems like. It could even mean something where we could even be in perhaps some sort of legal trouble. And if you are going into legal trouble and legal matters and all that, please consult an attorney. The elemental synastry reading is just to kind of confirm your intuitive grasp and your intuitive sense of what you need to do, but it's not legal advice. You still have to consult the appropriate professionals. Same thing if a health reading comes up, consult the appropriate professionals. Go see a doctor. I think that was last week's reading. So, all right, let's see what the astrology die have to say to that. Oops. All right. Well, that's what it is. All right. So we have Mercury in Aquarius in the 12th house. All right. Very interesting. So here, let's line this up and let's roll again for the decan. All right, 8. So we are in the middle decan of Aquarius. Okay. Wow. All right. So with it being the middle decan of Aquarius, which is the Lord of earned success, we're looking at something where we have come to the sort of resolution of the situation that we're in. And it's also tied in with the fact that we are in the 12th house, which is influenced by Pisces, and the 12th house also refers to endings as well. So something has come to an end, our resolution, and with Mercury being the planet influencing that, it means that we need to come out and speak the truth about that ending. We need to, so perhaps wherever if we were to have borrowed money from someone, we got to tell them, hey, I'm sorry, but I can't pay you back. Hey, I'm sorry, but I either lost all the money or, I'm bankrupt, or something according to that nature. With it being tied in with the element of fire, it's also suggesting that it was, let's say, a sort of endeavor gone wrong. Perhaps a business deal, perhaps something which was related to let's say a project that we were going to start on, and it all fell through. So Yeah, very interesting so far. Let's see. Okay, nah, nothing forming there yet. But yeah, definitely at this point, between these two elements so far, we definitely got to come to a reckoning on how to address this monetary situation, and we also need to come to an emotional sort of resolution on how to address this as well. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, let's move along and see what else we have here. So after the fire is the element of air, and the air can represent our communication or intellectual pursuits, things of that nature. And what is influencing the element of air? Okay. The Emperor. This is a very, very interesting read so far. So, it's interesting that with the fire, we have this sort of... Well, okay, I'm starting to see it a little bit more now. Yeah, so something did happen where we definitely lost a lot, where something fell through. But guess what? With the Emperor in our, or I should say influencing our air, it's basically saying, okay, it fell through, and now it's time to own it. Now it's time to realize that the pieces need to be collected. We need to regather and refocus what we're doing. We need to communicate that. We need to speak the truth about that. And again, it has to be taken in stride, like how the Emperor would. Yes, just really being forthright, straightforward, and communicating what that loss was. Letting whoever possibly loaned this money or whatever, maybe it could even be credit cards. Maybe it's time to call those creditors. Maybe it's time to call up that family member and communicate that and be like, look, it didn't go through. I'm sorry. I have to gather my losses. I have to recoup my losses before I can proceed forward again. All right, so let's see what the advice or outcome to that is. All right, we got the moon in Pisces in the 4th house. Oh, wow. Okay. So, the Emperor, and let's re-roll for the decan. 3. Okay. All right, so a lot of lunar energy happening here, a lot of Piscean energy happening here as well. All right, and with it being in Cancer, it also goes back to the home and family life. So, yeah, this seems to be something, perhaps dealing with familial wealth, familial money, or maybe a family member loaned out money that maybe they weren't in a position to loan out. But yeah, it's definitely time to come clean. It's definitely time to really again communicate that endeavor. So what's happening here though is that perhaps there does seem to be a little bit of a twist here, because we are in the first decan of Pisces, which is the Lord of Abandoned Success. And generally that happens because either our plans were not let's say planned out well enough, or perhaps maybe it was just time to jump ship and change course anyways. So on an emotional level, it would suggest that, yeah, this money may have been lost in all of this. However, it's what needed to happen, because had the endeavor the endeavor gone through, had let's say the business been successful, or or let's say, things had, quote unquote, worked out according to plan, perhaps that being worked out would not have been in the ultimate highest and best. So pretty much, even though there was a loss, and even though there was a huge, hit taken, ultimately it is working out for the better, because it needed to happen. Let's see. Yeah, and okay, let's see. Yeah, we got some trines forming here. Well, oh no. Yeah, we have a trine forming here. Okay, yeah, so it would kind of confirm that is the emotional nature that is happening. And yeah, with the moon being the planet influencing both of these, it means that on a deep down emotional level, that is what needed to happen. So, sometimes we're going to run into some rough patches. Sometimes these things just happen, and it's beyond our control. And there's only so much that we can kick ourselves with. But really, it's really just about trusting the process, and being able to rise above what the immediate situation is. And again, with it being influenced by Cancer, or I should say the fourth house, I think something here definitely needs to happen where you have to listen to your intuition, and trust that, and really come clean with it and communicate it. So this is trined, and it would suggest that yes, these two are linked. So that communication and that honesty is really important right now. Don't doubt what your intuition is trying to tell you. Really be straightforward with that. Really, I guess, own the mistake, quote unquote. But yeah, and what's interesting is that this is almost trine, but not quite. We're still out a little bit. We almost had a trine between all of these, but this one's off just a little bit. So these two, yeah, definitely pay attention to what's happening in the spirit, and also what's happening with the element of air, because those energies are really coming together to kind of amplify the message of what's happening. All right, let's move along to the element of earth, which is represented by the pentacles. And let's see, what is influencing the element of earth? So this is going to be interesting, because pentacles can either be, spiritual or material wealth. And with this being a reading about money and family, it definitely is going to be interesting to see what is influencing this. Okay, so what's influencing? Oh, the Seven of Swords. Okay, yeah, Seven of Swords. So that is called the Lord of Unstable Effort. All right. So something happened, and it can also be called the Stealth card. What's interesting is that it's inverted. So it would suggest that, that by coming forward with this and speaking up about this will definitely be appreciated. Normally, when the Seven of Swords is upright, it means some type of, let's say, underhandedness or stealth action or whatnot. But with it being in the inverted position, it means that we are being straightforward. We are owning our mistakes. We are owning up to our accountability and our responsibility. So with that influencing Pentacles, it would suggest, yeah, it's what has to be done. And let's see. Let's see what the astrology guy have to say to that. Okay, so we have the South Node in Libra in the 7th house. All right. Very interesting. Okay. The South Node in Libra in the 7th house. And we are in the first decan of Libra. Okay, so a lot of Libra energy there. Wow. And that has to deal with our relationships with our peers. It has to deal with our interpersonal relationships. And yeah, it would... Or, it could even be, let's say, a spouse or someone like that. Interesting. Okay. So this is kind of telling me that perhaps, this could have been... This could very well be a spouse. Perhaps a spouse lost a lot of money and, they're too afraid to say. So, and, it's kind of been tearing them up. Or it could also be, let's say... It doesn't even necessarily have to be a spouse. It could also refer to, let's say, anyone in the family that you have, let's say, an equal relationship with. There's a lot of, there's a lot of Libra energy here. Okay, and the first decan of Libra is also called the Lord of Peace Restored, and yeah, it would suggest that whoever lost this money is sort of at an impasse with what to do. It's like, yes, you do want to tell your spouse or you want to tell whoever in the family, gave you the money. You do want to tell them about that, but you're not quite ready to tell them about that. And South Node too. Yeah. This could have been... Wow, this could also have been an inheritance that was lost, maybe. Wow, that's unfortunate. Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, I guess if someone lost an inheritance, and, especially if it was a lot of money, that would probably be reason enough to not want to tell anyone about that. But again, everything else is pointing to, owning those mistakes and really coming forward with it and saying, hey, look, this is what happened. I'm sorry, but it was the best that I could do. It's the best that I got. And unfortunately, things didn't work out. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, let's see. It also, yeah, okay. This right here, let's see, 36. This right here is also... Oh, no, never mind that. I was a bit off. It's not squaring it. It's pretty close to squaring it, but it's not. So scratch that. But yeah, definitely honesty is the best policy here. It's going to hurt. It's going to cause some strife, but ultimately, people need to know. People need to know what it is. Money is a lot of responsibility. Money is power, and we have to be able to use that responsibility and power with grace, and we have to be honest with it, so that we can move on from this. All right, so let's go on and see what the element of water has to say. So water is our emotions, it's our intuition, it could even represent the ancestors as well, and the past. With this being possibly an inheritance, it would be interesting to see what the element of water has to say. Maybe there's some more ancestral energy that's going to come up, I don't know. Alright, so what's influencing water? Okay. The inverted star. All right, that inverted star. Excuse me for a moment. That inverted star has definitely has been popping up a lot recently. So it means being unable to accept help and to accept advice. And yeah, I would say after after everything that's happened here, that being able to accept help or advice on an emotional level would make a lot of sense. I know a lot of times, I mean, I've gone through it myself, when you experience these great losses, it can be pretty embarrassing. It could be pretty shameful. You feel you get depressed over it, and you don't want to speak to anyone, and it really does mess with your emotions. And that seems to be what's happening on an emotional level. All right, let's see. What do the astrology die have to say to that? So we got the North Node in Libra again, and it is the 10th house. All right, so let's line this up. Okay, North Node, Libra, 10th house. Let's re-roll for the decan, 10 again. All right. So here now, we are in the third decan of Libra. A lot of Libra energy. So yeah, definitely we got to definitely atone for what we've done with the actions in our interpersonal relationships. Okay, so the third decan of Libra is the Lord of Rest from Strife. And it's interesting because here we have another, we have the Seven of Swords here, and then we have the Libra over here, the third decan of Libra over here. So, it's like we're at an impasse on the on, let's say, the material world, and on the emotional world, on the emotional frontiers, we've been through a lot, and we just want to not deal with things right now. We've been through a lot. We just want to relax. And that's all right, because sometimes we do need to retreat. Sometimes the emotions can be so overwhelming, the consequences so overwhelming, that on an emotional level, you just gotta shut down a little bit, go into that cocoon phase, and just sort of relax and refocus. And it's interesting because it's also in the 10th house, which is also represented by Capricorn, and the 10th house has to deal with our careers and status. So yeah, it's like, on one hand, yeah, it's saying to rest, but also on another hand, we don't have a lot of time to rest, because this does have to deal with money. This does have to deal with some type of either business venture or opportunity which fell through, and to be able to kind of pull ourselves out of this, we need to go back and focus on our North Node and what we have to learn within this lifetime. So yeah, definitely, I would say, I would say, check out what your North Node is, and check out what the karmic lesson is to learn in this life, and that can help us get out of this sort of not quite stagnation, but it'll help to pull us out of our cocoon phase. It'll help to get us back on track, get us back on our feet, and again, with the inverted star, I mean, on an emotional level, we just don't want to deal with it right now. So you have these sort of conflicting energies. It's like, on one hand, it's saying, deal with what's happening and get ready to push forward, and on another hand, it's saying, no, I don't. I just want to relax a little bit. But again, with a lot of this stuff, the clock is ticking, and we're probably not in a position to really let's say, to really take a vacation too long, especially if we go back to the element of spirit, which is influenced by the Lord of Quickness. So the Lord of Quickness, again, like I was saying earlier, it's saying, a decision has to be made. We have to go into action. But again, everything will unfold as it's supposed to unfold. Everything will happen as it's supposed to happen. So also, listen to that intuition, because right now the High Priestess is inverted. So if we could go back on a very deep emotional level, if we can go back on a very deep sort of intuitive level, and even look on a karmic level with that North Node, we can also see or I should say, we can find those answers that we need. Okay, let's see, 30, 60, let's see about these aspects. Sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. It looks like with the exception of that trine, let's see, 20, 10, 2. Yeah, these are all just slightly off from one another, with the exception of that trine. So going back and focusing on those two, definitely I would say what will sort of kickstart this chart into action is communicating to that person what needs to be communicated, because we have a lot of Libra here. We have a lot of things happening in our interpersonal relationships. So that communication needs to be cleared up. And what we'll find is, only in communicating what needs to, what happened, only in that can we really, start to proceed forward with that. So, yeah. All right, I think that's about it for today. Thank you for joining me on today's reading, and I hope you got something from it. I hope it clarified or, confirmed what you were feeling. And, I hope it helped. So, much love and blessings. I love you all. Thank you for joining me again, and I hope to see you all again next week.